before you, Heavenly Father, we ask for the wisdom. Lord Father God, to be able to handle this items that are before us. Lord Father God, we thank you, Lord Father God, for the knowledge to be able to understand those things that come. Lord Father God, we thank you for the life that you have given us, for blessing us with a wonderful life, a wonderful day, Lord. Thank you, Lord Father God, as we come together, Heavenly Father, that we can come up one mind and one accord for the purpose of this community, Lord. Father God, we thank you, Lord Father God, for the leadership that you show us. And Father God, for touching each and every one of us, for the blessing that you provided of life, Lord Father, of healing, protection. Father God, we give you all the glory and honor. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, let it show that all council members are present except for Councilman Graham. At this time, we will have public comments. This is a time for residents to share with the council any comments, concerns, and/or complaints that they have. It is asked that each person limit their time to 3 minutes, as we do have several scheduled agenda items to attend to. For record-keeping purposes, when you get to the podium, please state your name. And it also need to advise that if we as a council cannot comment or discuss any items that you bring before the council. So at this time, are there any public comments? Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Let's go first. You want me up here? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Gregory Demers, and I am here today on behalf of my wife, 4 children, and 13 grandchildren. Due to the facts of evidence presented here today, Pecos Sun RV Park, which we own and have for 17 years, due to the facts presented here today, Pecos Sun RV Park should rightfully be placed in the category of grandfather clause. Due to being established long before all these older and newer Pecos ordinances came into effect. We bought the subject property in August of 2007. At that time, Pecos city officials would have helped us construct anything on these 3 lots, because at that time the town of Pecos was dying, a very poor economy. Chewy, or Jesus, his nickname was Chewy, he worked, probably many of you know him, he worked in the Pecos Planning Department way back then and came out to our property at that point in time and saw that we had RV spaces rented out. Chewy never indicated that was something prohibited by the city. At that time, there wasn't any form of construction, etc. prohibited, or was there any kind of code enforcement. We bought the property in good faith as a retirement investment. Shortly after purchasing the property, we were being contacted by more people wanting to rent RV spaces because they were coming to work in Pecos. Excuse me. We have always maintained Pecos Sun RV Park. We have put many belly dump loads of caliche and gravel to elevate property, keeping water from heavy rains accumulating. We even spent our own money to repair and improve the back alley behind all 3 lots, which was this town's responsibility. We have for many years now provided a respectable place for workers that come to Pecos to work. They spend their hard-earned money in Pecos buying food, clothing, trucks, etc., which in turn has stimulated the economy of Pecos. We have never been confronted by Pecos officials until in 2015 when an annual $200 RV park fee was put into effect. This recently passed Pecos City ordinance of $500 fee for each RV space annually is very extreme. In our case, the amount of $7,000 due on or before December 31st, 2024. This enormous $7,000 annual fee not only decreases the value of our investment retirement property, but places an extreme financial burden on us, also placing negative effects on any future markability of our property. All utilities are included in our very low RV space rents. We have been paying these large utility bills for 17 years now. So in conclusion, why would the town of Pecos and its officials burden and put into place a severe financial punishment on people who have for many years helped stimulate the Pecos economy? I cannot speak for others in the condition of their RV parks. Our park, Pecos Sun RV, has stood the test of time. All the electrical and plumbing and landscape is in good, respectable condition. We also pay a manager to manage the park in our absence. There is approximately an equal amount of monthly expense versus profitability at the Pecos Sun RV Park. In other words, we do not make loads of money there. I ask you today to strongly consider our long ago initial purchase of our property and how Pecos authorities never indicated adversely in any form until 2015 when the $200 RV park fee was put in place. This was 8 years after our development of the Pecos Sun RV Park. And now in 2024, the Pecos officials are attempting to place a huge unwarranted mandatory annual fee on us, which is extremely abnormal to the point of almost cruelty. I ask you, what has changed so drastically recently that could possibly warrant Pecos officials to act and proceed in this fashion regarding these matters? It appears Pecos has a lot of future expenditures in trying to recover financially any way they can, even to the extent of excessively penalizing the good citizens of Pecos. Pecos Sun RV has faithfully contributed to this town's economy for many years now. Implementing these huge fees in this community will only damage small business, create bitterness in people, and leave proper fairness out in the cold.
Mr. DeMarge, your 3 minutes.
Imagine for a moment, you being in this adverse situation. Would you think it is okay?
Your 3 minutes is up.
I most certainly don't think so. I ask you, what happened to we, the people, and our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness here in Pecos?
Your 3
I'm done.
minutes is up.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments?
Good evening, Council. My name is Luke Holt. I live on the corner of Veterans and Nebraska, and my wife has recently been noticing that around 3:30 to 5, there are typically quite a few passerbys and vehicles who are speeding through that stop sign. Usually it happens closer to the end of work, 4:50 to about 5:30. And so she was wondering, and I'm wondering as well, if there can be some kind of patrol to stay in that area to try to keep the speeding through that stop sign. It being a school zone, there are still teachers and kids who are in that area. That's rather dangerous to have that happen. So, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Mayor and Council, I'll be reading a thank you letter from Eva Mendoza, Program Director of the Meals on Wheels program from Reeves County. And it reads, Honorable Mayor Teresa Winkles and Town of Pecos City Council, a big thank you from Reeves County Home Delivered Meals Program, also known as Meals on Wheels. Town of Pecos City's continued annual donation is so much appreciated. Town of Pecos City's support helps our efforts to make the Meals on Wheels program a vital and available program in our community. Thank you. Eva Mendoza.
Mayor, Council, Holly Jaraki, Community Services Director. Would like to remind the community that our roll-off campaign continues Saturday from 8 to noon at 10th and Willow, the 10th and Willow and 8th and Alamo. We will also have the appliance trailer. It'll be located at 10th and Willow for any of our community that needs to take care of debris around their property. Thank you.
Any other public comments? We will go to the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the October 24th, 2024 regular city council meeting. Review the expenditure report and review the airport fuel flowage report for October 24th, 2024.
On line item 6, the financial services audit, that's not the hot, is it?
It is not.
Okay.
No, ma'am. We, as a matter of fact, on the next expense report, you will see one from the hot.
Okay.
And that one is going to be the Avenue. And that will be on the next one. And we're in the process, they're almost finalizing all of the hotel audit. Yes, ma'am.
Just mine are on the airport fuel report. I don't have anything attached.
Don't have anything.
It is not yours. And Holly, do you know if we have anything on that?
On our
There's
airport.
nothing attached on the airport fuel stuff. Or do we just have to push it to the next one? It's not on the, it's not attached.
It was,
So do we need to table that part?
We'll have it on the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
should
you.
have been attached.
Anybody have any other questions? I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, noting that item E3 will be tabled until the next meeting.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Seals, a second from Councilman Saldana to approve the consent agenda except for item E3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. We'll go to non-consent agenda, item F1, discuss, consider resolution 24-11-01R, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a purchase agreement with Smith Co. Construction, Inc. for the replacement of discharge pipes at the Stafford lift station at the cost of $180,000. Roy Foster, and you're not Roy Foster.
That's right.
Anything to keep from standing in
That
front
doesn't
of
look
us.
like.
That's right. That's right. It seems that way, huh? Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Kelvin Ridge, the Director of Public Works. This is a budgeted item, so I guess at that point I want to know if you guys have any questions.
I like that. Yeah.
Some of them are really fast learners.
That's right. That's right.
They start out with, it is a budgeted item.
Discipline tends to do that sometimes, huh?
Takes the fun out of it for us, though.
What is it?
Takes the fun out of it.
I know. That's the goal. That is the goal. I'm sure you have enough fun with the next item.
Is that a budgeted item as well?
The next one?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
There you go.
Absolutely not.
Any questions? I'll make a motion to approve F1 as stated in the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilwoman Seals to approve resolution 24-11-01R as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion's carried.
I just have one question. Is there a start time?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Once we get your approval, then we'll be working on that tomorrow. Absolutely.
I understand item F2 is to be tabled.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go to item F3, discuss, consider resolution 24-11-03R, a resolution to approve appropriating funds for the purpose of replacing undersized water lines to improve water volume pressure to WTC Inc. for the amount of $443,112 to be appropriated out of the contingency fund. Calvin Richmond.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council again. Kelvin Ridgely, Director of Public Works. As Mayor stated, this is not a budgeted item, but as stated in the resolution, It talks about economic development and how we need to do things to improve our infrastructure. Right now, the school is growing at a tremendous rate. And right now, our infrastructure will not support the building that they're doing. So in an effort to get ahead of things, this is the start of potentially more phases to improve our infrastructure, because right now we have undersized lines, we have lines that do not connect, and there's just a lot of infrastructure that just doesn't make sense. Whenever we decided which area to work first, you know, we thought about the school and we thought about the hospital. That's the area we wanted to attack first. So that's why you see this before you. I do understand that this is heavy lifting, but I do want to be a part of the administration that does the heavy lifting. So I do know that this is a huge burden on the budget, but I think it's very imperative that we do something of this nature and we do it fast so that we don't hurt the school district and potentially the hospital.
Was this part of another project WTC was doing, or was this put out for bid or anything?
No, this is an emergency resolution.
What size do we have right now feeding the hospital?
I'm sorry?
Size of pipe going into the hospital?
So right now there's a 12-inch near the hospital, but around the hospital, those lines are just not sufficient enough to do things. If you notice, Austin has Austin Elementary. Is it Crockett? Austin.
No,
Austin has a tank. So right now they're in threat of having to build another tank because of the lack of pressure and volume in the area. So this is an effort to make sure that the school district and the hospital, even if they decide to continue growing, there's enough water and pressure to support that.
Do we have a lot of choke points throughout the area?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like we have a lot of dead ends, again, a lot of undersized piping, some piping that just doesn't connect, and you know, we don't know why because it was done so long ago. So this infrastructure was put in probably at the beginning of time, and somebody's gotta be the administration to fix it.
So you're gonna use the same right of way where you have the existing lines right now, or you're gonna have to put make new right of ways and then
So-
easements, to put the lines in?
So we may potentially have to do that, but at this point, I'm not sure. Chad, do you know the answer to that right now?
Yes, sir. Well, there is some along Stafford, right? There's that will be a new line that's not there. So that will mostly go in existing right of way, but there is a segment in there that we might need to get some right of way. It won't be much. The rest of it should go right down existing alleyway, roadway,
Okay.
existing right of way. Yes, sir. And I shouldn't be any kind of long drawn out right of way. I mean, it's limited, it's a block or two along Stafford, and it might not be necessary either. It's a little bit, it's kind of crowded. Can we get it in there? We'll just have to look, and if not, maybe we need to get 5 feet or something.
So you won't be laying it right next to the existing one? You'll be-
No, ma'am. If we're putting it where there is a line, we're taking that line out and replacing it. But this one on Stafford there's not one there. That's a big one that'll, and like Kevin said, and I'll sit down, but it's like really the big problem is like Councilman Barona said, choke points. I mean, you have, like by the hospital, you do have a segment of 12-inch, but on either side of it, it's not. It's 6 on one side, I think, and maybe 8 on the other. So, that's kind of silly that it's like that. So this is trying to connect some of those bigger lines so water can move around to where it's needed. Because right now it's trying to snake its way through smaller lines, and it's just sometimes a big need happens, and that's why when they do the flow test for building a new school, it doesn't work because you put a big flow need in one spot and it just can't get enough water there. That's what's going on.
And downtime for the customers, for the residents?
Yeah, it shouldn't be much. We're going to try and keep everything in service until we put the new lines in.
We good? Mayor, make a motion we approve F3, discuss the selection of 24-11
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilwoman Trujillo to approve Resolution 24-11-03R as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries.
Thank you.
Item F4, discuss, consider approving the proposed covered application and prohibited technology policy as mandated by State Bill 1893. Jesus Gomez, and you're not Jesus Gomez.
I'm much shorter.
Yes, you are.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Joshua Ortiz, your IT team lead. And we are looking to get this policy approved that you have in your packets on the ban of video sharing application, TikTok, and all other apps owned by ByteDance. We're trying to get them blocked from devices which we've already had in 2022, but now we're trying to improve this policy because the Chinese Communist Party has the ability to use the application for surveilling Texans. So as the city IT department goes, we are already banning it from the devices that we use and or personal devices that are used for work with the city. There are several other apps that the company owns, but none of them are as big as the TikTok one that I've stated there.
How do you ban that on personal devices?
We have several forms of security that we use to block the traffic and or the app from being downloaded.
I'm not sure that answered my question, but.
Oh.
Again, it's a personal device.
Yeah. Well, we're just prohibiting it from the use because of that security concern.
I mean, are employees required to sign something that they will not have
Usually-
to be downloaded, or what?
Well, it'll be a part of the policy for the whenever they first get hired, or the part of the handbook. We have the technology policy.
And there's some internet protocol all in there, one of the pages that's in there, that everybody does have to sign. To answer your question a little differently, Vanessa, if you do have any of the prohibited apps on your phone, you can't use your phone for work. So you have to utilize a work phone. So I don't have it on mine because I don't look at it, but I know a lot of people have it and enjoy it. But this is to formalize something that went into effect back then. And the reason that it's coming now is we've got mandates from the state that say that this policy has to be in place before the end of the year, or else we risk being penalized. And so I shot it to Jesus and Josh and said, I need this by next council meeting.
He drew the short straw this
Yes,
time.
yes.
And it'll include anything that the state adds to that policy later on. So it wouldn't be, I guess, brought up every time, but anything that they add to it, as they discover threats to
And it
it.
should continue to grow because they're looking at it right now. So there's going to be other apps that they're going to continue to blacklist for any governmental entity to have. And that's coming in a rare instance, it's happening at the same type of prohibitions are happening at the federal and the state level. So everybody's on board with this, trying to keep our data secure. I think all of you all know how I like tons of firewalls. I don't want anybody hitting my data. I want it safe. So one of the reasons putting this in is because this gives us a little bit more teeth where if we find somebody doing it, there will be consequences.
And this policy that we're showing you here is the DIR model policy that we've adopted.
I thought maybe it was just to keep people on tax better at work.
I wish, no, we can't do that one
Since
yet.
things like TikTok are obviously a form of entertainment for a lot of people.
Yes, they are.
For a lot of hours every day.
Yes, they are. I would agree.
It can hypnotize you. Yeah.
I I'm not gonna say I haven't seen some TikTok videos and they were funny. But not my fault.
I make the motion and we approve the proposed cover application for River Technology Policy as presented by Mr. Ortiz.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion from Councilman Saldana, a second from Councilwoman Seal to approve the proposed covered application and prohibition of technology policy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries.
Thank you.
Item F5, discuss, consider resolution 24-11-04R, a resolution to approve blanket purchase order with Pathmark Traffic Products of Texas, Inc., not to exceed $100,000 for purchasing of traffic control signage products for fiscal year 24-25. Holly Girardi.
Mayor, Council, Holly Drocke, Community Services Director. In your packet is a resolution to approve a blanket purchase order with Pathmark to obtain additional traffic control products to continue to grow our inventory as we are becoming a provider of many areas for events which require extra traffic control, but it also allows us to build our inventory and be prepared.
Here it says $100,000,
Yes, ma'am.
and here it says $50,000.
So I'm not sure what it says on your, on the
First
website.
line,
Yeah, that needs to be modified. It should say 100,000. That's an incorrect estimate.
It's
On the resolution, how it states it's,
in the resolution that we've attached.
yeah.
This is the one I attached, so I'm not sure what was attached now.
This says 100 on that.
Does it?
50 on mine.
It says 50 on
How weird.
Okay. But we are asking you all to approve the $100,000, and that will be corrected on the one that we have.
It's 100,000 in one place and 50,000 in another.
Yeah, at the top it is, but then
Top
the
it
first
says-
line item.
But the
Does the
the
first
first
line item say
whereas
50?
says 50.
Oh, no, it says cumulatively exceed 50,000 for related transactions.
Yeah. no,
So the
but
50,
it's not-
so,
But if you look on the first line, the first whereas, Holly,
That's what she was.
yes, the town of Pecos City purchases from vendors that cumulatively exceed $50,000 for related transactions. So because it's over $50,000. Yes, yes.
I don't see the 50,000 anywhere.
I know Wendy didn't send out 3. That's okay, that's okay.
Okay, now I see.
So this is not to exceed 100,000.
Not to exceed 100,000, it is budgeted in our annual, in our 24-25
So
budget.
you're guaranteeing at least 50 grand will be spent.
So actually, no, anything over 50,000,
Just anyway.
yeah. This is the policy requested to
because
be,
anything over 50 has to be brought before you all, and this one with it being 100, so it's kind of a weird
Yes.
restating our policy.
yes.
50,000 above, that's why it's listed there.
But it's a budgeted item. so you should
It
put
i-
that from the beginning.
Yes, it's a budgeted, I don't know at this point. No, this is,
Not budgeted.
this was requested language from our city attorney to help identify that we are not circumventing our internal processes.
Okay, I guess with that, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 24-11-04R to not exceed $100,000.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Seals, a second from Councilman Arona to approve Resolution 24-11-04R as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Item F6, discuss, consider Resolution 24-11-05R, a resolution to approve blanket purchase order with Red Bud Supply not to exceed $200,000 for purchasing of street sign repair and/or replacement for fiscal year 24-25. Holly Girardi.
Mayor, council, in your packet is a resolution for a budgeted item. For a budgeted item is part of, and this is also part of our strategic plan in upgrading and replacing all of our street signage throughout the entire city. The 200,000 with this particular company, they bring a quality product for street signs to address some of the signs we have purchased outside of this particular company. Has proven to fail in the weather. So with that said,
Makers of the purple signs?
Yes, this is where we have the purple signs.
so that's actually a separate strategic plan through Kelvin, our Public Works Department.
Same company.
So actually, this is the same company, yes. But no, they're not all
That's what they
purple.
were asking
Yeah.
about.
I apologize. No.
So,
It actually-
make sure you were gonna have them all purple?
No, sir, no.
Just around.
Oh, just around?
Yeah, the schools have this, they put together, our Public Works Director and his strategic planning put together a great idea with the school logo and the street signs around the schools. It really looks sharp. We have other plans, but we'll discuss that later.
So I just want to interject, and I'm feeling guilty now. I want to tell Holly that I lied. The purple signs had absolutely nothing to do with my strategic plan. But she drives a hard bargain, and I could not get her to buy those street signs. So it was not a part of my strategic plan, but I had to tell Holly that in order to get her on board.
Ooh, the truth comes out.
No, but he paid for them.
I did.
So,
And are these gonna have the numbered sign?
Yes.
yes, so all of our street signs are going to be updated with the proper block numbers as well, in keeping with, the visibility for our emergency, police, EMS, et cetera.
And all the new people.
As well as-
Our longtime people know where
Yeah.
they're at.
I mean, I wouldn't have been able to find anything when I moved here if I hadn't had that, so, yes.
When was the last time that these current signs were replaced?
That's a very good question. So we've been in the process of being reactionary and replacing versus being proactive. Well, funding priority, actually, to be honest with you. I remember my conversation with Public Works, he's like, and I was like, yes. Okay, but we have made a vital effort to make sure that we put enough money in our budget to be able to complete this task.
Why can't they all be purple?
So, at one time they were. We have a stack. We had a stack at our yard, a stack. I'm not sure, honestly, who changed that. I just remember seeing this stack of street signs, purple street signs.
Have you recycled?
I'm not sure. I just,
Sell 'em off.
I honestly, I'm not sure. I just recall, I'm not sure what's happened to them since, but I remember seeing the big pile. Yeah.
Decorative items for certain,
Let me see if they're even still there. They may not be.
Yeah, put their name on them.
What would it be, the cost difference?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Is there, how much of a cost difference is there from the standard green to purple?
I would not be able to answer that. I would have to ask.
Because really green is a
yeah,
Yeah.
color.
to show our school spirit.
Well, so, we wanted the purple signs to stand apart from the city, in that defense. So,
But green is our neighbor to the east. They're
Yeah.
have a very competitive rival.
you have a very good argument.
You know?
You have a very good argument. I'll happily look and see what the difference in cost is.
And I'm sure those green ones fade faster than
Yes,
purple.
I agree.
Well, the ones actually that were out there, 110, 111, not a whole lot of things, metal with vinyl, the vinyl material doesn't fare well either way. They were not bright purple. You could tell they had been up for a while, but I really honestly didn't know why they had been taken down. But we can look at that, and I can always come back and amend this if necessary.
That'd be nice.
So-
Color-wise, anyway.
Aesthetic.
Yeah.
Improve our, keep Pecos beautiful, keep Pecos beautiful, and, yeah.
May I make a motion, we approve F6 as presented? Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Arona, a second from Councilman Saldana to approve Resolution 24-11-05R as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries.
Thank you. We'll be sure to put it in the paper, all the green ones for so.
Item F7, discuss, consider ordinance 24-11-01, an ordinance amending Chapter 60 utilities mandating connections to the municipal water systems in compliance with USDA requirements. First reading, Heather Ramirez, and you're not Heather Ramirez.
Mayor and Council Charles Lino, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. We're bringing this to you for the first reading tonight. It is, we've had in place a mandatory connection agreement related to our sewer systems for a while now. And as part of the conditions that the USDA is doing, who is the group that is funding both through grant and the loan, our new water source system that will be coming into play. I mean, 45 million plus or minus total. One of their requirements is they want to make sure that we have something in place that has teeth, that mandates that anybody that's in the city limits within X number of feet from our water lines is using city water and not doing well water. And so when I looked at it, for $42 million, I'm willing to put something into place or ask you all to do something like this in order to accommodate that. And this is one of the last items that's holding this up. So we'll have this reading, and we'll do a next reading at the next meeting that we have, whether it's a special meeting next week or whenever, to get this done so that we can check the box from the USDA standpoint.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 24-11-01, first reading as presented.
Second.
Have a motion from Councilwoman Seals, a second from Councilman Arona to approve ordinance 24-11-01, first reading. As all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the motion carries. Okay, item F8, discuss, consider assisting the Chamber of Commerce and Convention and Visitors Bureau office with operational funding. And can I say something before you get started?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to hand something, Wendy's going to hand something out to you, so yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I would like to express my thoughts. I do not have a vote unless there is a tie on an issue, but I can express my opinion. This item is brought to us in a manner that puts the city in a very awkward position. As I understand, these positions were offered to gentlemen last week before the chamber approached the county and the city for funding, and likely before it was presented to the chamber themselves. You have now put us in the position that makes us approve this or look like a bad guy in the situation. I truly believe that both these gentlemen that are being considered will do a very fine job for Pecos through the chamber and CVB. But I would suggest that the entire chamber board be dissolved now and a whole new board put in place with the new president, vice president, etc. We have had several meetings with the chamber, and I felt that as of the last meeting, there was no consensus as to if you were even going to stay open. And here you have two directors that are technically not funded. As a current chamber member has told us, the past is in the past. But if this continues with the current board, the past is not past. The actions of last week show me that the current actions are still being done as was in the past. It seems as though you have decided to have two directors with assistants, so I would think it would create two separate boards. A CVB is historically a hot funded position, so have you been to the hot board? I also understand that a job description, a very long one, was created for this post, but it was a joint position of chamber and CVB executive director. Have a new job description been created for each position since you have separated them. And I would like to see the job descriptions, and I'm sure the council would too. Now I'll turn it over to Mr. Lino.
Mayor and Council, you give me all the fun stuff, you know. No. Charles Lino, City Manager. What I'm going to do is we put this item on the agenda. I can tell you that I do know that on Tuesday, the Commissioners Court met and approved the 50% piece of salaries and wages. The Chamber Board or the Executive Committee met with the full Chamber on Tuesday, I do know that. And I will ask Matt Elliott to come up because he's the President of the Chamber and let him go over the spreadsheet that we just put before you and allow him to answer any questions because he and I have had conversations, but he also knows that I've told myself or told him that I'm trying to stay neutral because I think that's my job, and it can be difficult. But I know that I've had conversations. I know John Parent. I've met and had a couple of conversations with Joe Keys, and I don't disagree with the mayor that I think they could get the job done. But I'll let Matt come up and share any of the information and ask any questions. With this being a discuss, consider item, you all can have the two-way feedback and conversation that way. I'll step out of the way. Matt?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Thank you, Mr. Lino. I'll go ahead and just touch on what the mayor had to say a few seconds ago. There have not been any positions offered. There was nothing that was discussed prior to, other than the executive committee did have interviews, and the executive committee did make their decision. There have been 0 offers made to this point. The Chamber did meet on Tuesday following the County Commissioners Court, like Mr. Lino just said. So just to make sure everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what's going on, there has not been an offer made to anybody. The only employee we have at the Chamber right now was discussed at our last Chamber meeting that we have. And for those of you that weren't at that last meeting that we had, we left it at, we either need to have funding or we're not going to be able to continue what we're doing, which is why Ms. Seals brought up that she thought it would be good if there was somebody there, correct? Correct. So that's why we went out and we hired Ms. Badagan, who was a former employee there, and she is now working 9 to 5 there. She does have some family members that have medical needs first thing in the morning, so that's why she shows up at 9 in the morning. But for full transparency, there have been 0 offers made to any candidates that have applied.
So have there been any job descriptions?
Yes, ma'am. It's the same one that's been posted on the city website.
The 14-page one?
However long it is, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a job description for CDB manager?
We've had discussions about that. We have not posted anything for it, but our goal is to have, so like I said, there have been 0 offers made. The only interviews that we have had have been for executive director. So when we had our interviews, we identified 2 candidates that we believe would fit multiple positions. Obviously, we identified one person that we felt would be an executive director, and we identified somebody else that we believe that is a local, that has a lot of talent, and that we wholeheartedly, it was a unanimous decision, believed that this individual could step in within a short amount of time and take over the executive director position and be very successful. So after that, we went out and we try to find a way that we could make this work within what we have, with options that we have, what the needs have, right? So this isn't just about the candidates we have, is what needs do we have between the Chamber and the CVB. We feel like there were many discussions that were had at our last meeting, and we do believe that there are a lot of needs that have gone on, pretty much just been neglected over the last 10, 15 years within the Chamber itself. So what we thought was that we would get an executive director that has the experience and that has the talents that are needed to oversee the entire operation, and then we really need to focus on building up a CVB. So that's why we thought we would have a CVB manager. But beneath the CVB manager, we would like to have 2 CVB assistants, full-time assistants, and then beneath on the Chamber side, we would like to have a Chamber assistant. We believe that we need to get out and get back in touch with our businesses, really build up our relationships. There are a lot of untapped businesses out there that we haven't even had discussions with. Thousands of businesses between here, Carlsbad, Odessa, Fort Stockton, that all do business here in Pecos. And we know that we need to get out there and start building relationships with them. Those relationships are going to better our community. They're going to better everything we have going on here in Pecos and help strengthen what we have to do in the future. On the CVB side, it's been little to none. I mean, and y'all know that. I mean, there's nothing to hide about it. It just hasn't been done. And it's not going to get done until somebody steps up and actually puts people to the test. I personally have visited numerous communities, numerous states this past summer for different events with my family, and every one that I went to, the CVB was involved. Every national contest we went to, every state contest, the local CVB and chamber was catering a meal, providing some sort of assistance there, whether it was with their registration fees, whether they just had people there to help everybody find different things within the community. They were known, they were present, they were active, and we have not had that. But it takes manpower. When you talk to these organizations, they've got 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 employees there. I mean, we have never had that luxury here, and if we're either going to have to figure out a way to make it happen, and everybody come together and work together, or we're going to end up where we're at again.
So again, what is the job description for the CVB executive director? Because it does say executive director, not manager here.
Well, it's chamber/CVB executive director. So on this page right here, what we have is we have it divided out into different categories. So what we did is we took the salary for the executive director of the chamber/CVB, and we broke it up into two different. We broke it up into what we're asking the city to fund and what the county has already committed to fund.
I don't think you answered my question. What is the duties of the CVB executive director? Because that is listed as a totally separate position.
If you'd like, I could pull it up on the city website.
Charles, have we gotten an official audit on the financials, or?
So are, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The last one that was presented, yes.
Was that a true official audit, or?
Yes, sir. No, it was an audit.
Or?
No, it was by a third party, so it was an audited financial statement. And they are providing their chamber board with financials on each monthly meeting that are being done by CNA.
And I guess maybe what I really need to define is you have the CVB executive director, and then you have the CVB manager.
Yes, ma'am.
So the same person is going to be the chamber ED and the CVB ED. That's what you're thinking?
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess I need the job description of the chamber and the CVB manager. The CVB manager.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly what their job description is.
It's not letting me load this on the city website, but it's been the same one that we've posted. We actually posted.
I didn't know you had a CV manager position posted.
No, ma'am, the executive director position. The CVB manager, we haven't even had any interviews for it yet. I mean, we like I told you earlier, we identified 2 candidates that we wanted to interview. We felt that they both have a place here within the chamber and /CVB. We do believe the CVB has been neglected, and we would like to focus a lot of efforts on the CVB side. Our goal right now is to find a group of individuals that can handle the CVB, and then we have a group of individuals that can handle the chamber side. And if you would like for us to develop something, I mean, that's something we can do, but we don't have anything posted. That's not a position that we've advertised for because we didn't know that we were going to have the quality of candidates that we had.
I think I have a problem trying to approve something that we don't have a job description for, something we've never had in the past, so we don't really know what this person's going to be doing.
Yes, ma'am.
And you don't have something written out. I don't know that you know for sure what they're going to be doing.
That would be up to the executive director, ma'am. I mean, I can't tell the employees what they're supposed to do.
Have there been job descriptions before? I mean,
For the executive.
Been around for a long time, but.
Yes, sir. It's been the same. It's the conversation that Congresswoman Sills here and I are having is it's the same position that has been posted for the last year and a half. What we did is we went around and we evaluated the different positions that have been posted within surrounding areas, and that's what for the last 2 executive directors that we have, the hirings that we've done, it's been the exact same posting, sir.
The executive director is the same. It is a 14-page, pretty much, job description, but there is not a CVB manager job description.
Correct, because we haven't posted anything for it, ma'am.
And is that a new position?
Yes, sir.
The manager?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But you're listing it without having any idea what that person's going to be doing. And you've already gotten a salary because you already have someone in mind, obviously.
Yes, ma'am.
But yet you don't have a job description.
I mean, we can develop a job description, but we can't post anything without being able to know if we're going to be able to fund it.
So we're back to square one again.
Yes, sir. This is the same conversation we had weeks ago that evidently has gone unnoticed. We're either going to be able to move forward and work together collectively as a community or we're not. I think the county stepped up. They hit a home run on Tuesday and they said they're willing to do it. Right now, we're asking the city for the same support.
So where in this are events going to fall?
Which ones are you referring to?
All the events that have been going on in previous years.
Okay. So it's the same thing we talked about, ma'am. We're not, we're not an event corporation. That's not what we. The reason why we don't have any money is because we continue putting money into events that don't bring money in. So we're not going to continue running events on a daily, monthly basis. That's not what we're supposed to do.
So you're presenting here a budget for salaries.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your budget for operating?
There will be no operating if we don't have anybody to run it. So first things first,
I'm looking at sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at the job description and it says identify and develop revenue generating community events such as holiday parades, heritage festivals, art festivals, night old Pecos, dances, rodeos. So this is something that
our goal
won't be doing anymore.
Our goal right now is to help sponsor these events and help put the people, the different organizations, and our chamber of businesses together so that these events can be successful. We don't have the staff to do that. Really, chambers in general don't have the staff to do this. CVBs don't have the staff to do this. It takes dozens of volunteers of anybody to have any kind of event. And I'll give you one that we just did. We just had the livestock show here in town, and the chamber's been doing it. But when you go to other livestock shows in the surrounding area, you have 20, 30 people that are volunteering to do this. And there was 4 or 5 of us that did it this time. You just don't have, chambers and CVBs aren't designed to host events anymore. That's how it was decades ago, and that's how it was all across the state, and that's understood. But now, it's more of a membership-based focus. You've got to find organizations that can put their time and effort into this, because you can't have 12 to 14 events every year and expect to have 20, 30 people show up to volunteer at each one. Now, can we co-sponsor it like we're going to do the parade coming up? Of course, and that's an easy thing for us to do. You can do that with 1 or 2 individuals as opposed to having a dozen plus individuals each and every time.
And I'll applaud you for doing this event with probably this many people, doing it, just talked about and pulling it off, because I'm sure it was a whole bunch of work on that mere handful of people. I know you said you've gone to several cities and states and chambers don't do this. I'll tell you right now, Andrews and Monahan's, they each have 3 people in the office, an executive director and 2 assistants. They do the chamber and the CVB. They do events every single month. Now, where we have fallen short, which I think the right person in this executive director position will certainly help overcome, is get that business membership up, which is what the chamber part is certainly all about. And that is where your volunteers come from.
Yes, ma'am.
And we haven't had active business members. And I do think that with the right person leading this, that you're going to have an active business membership, which means you're going to have, hopefully, an active board.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is where your business, your volunteers for all these activities come. Both of those communities say, if they didn't do activities, events, they close their doors.
Correct. Now, and I think probably the difference between what you're talking about is obviously, first of all, what you've already identified is we do not have the membership base, and it's going to take years. It's going to take years to build up that base. We're not going to have the support staff to build up the base and to continue doing events all year long. It's not possible. And I guarantee you, if you and I sat down with those same individuals that you've already talked to, they would tell you the same thing. There's no way that we can continue to run the events we have and put all the time and effort into building up our membership.
In the new job description, and we talked about this in, I think, the 3 previous meetings we've had with you, what are the benchmarks in this job description for business recruitment on business membership?
So, I mean, what are you looking for? I mean, you're wanting to know how many we're going to get or what our goal is?
Does this person going to have, at this point in time, you need to have recruited X number more new members? Are there benchmarks throughout? Because that's been part of the problem in the past. There was no benchmarks in there, and all they did was sit over there in the office.
Sure, and those are things that we haven't discussed because we don't know what kind of funding we're going to receive. Without knowing what kind of staff we're going to have, it's unrealistic for us to go out and say, hey, we expect you to have 500 members in the next, 16 months.
Yeah, but that would be in the job description, say every quarter, try to bring in 1 or 2 new businesses.
Oh, yes, sir. I mean,
Or 5 or 10 or whatever.
right. I mean, there's obviously, they're going to have to meet some sort of basic expectation, but
You can have that already, that way whoever applies, and I can't fulfill this one, or yes, I can fulfill that in plus one.
yes, sir.
So,
And that's part of it, yes, sir, but like I said, without knowing how many staff members we're going to have, it's unrealistic for us to put some sort of expectation out. Right now, we're just trying to see, are we going to be able to keep the door open and go out and hire people or not? I mean, if we have funding to continue operating, then that's one thing, but if we don't, we're just sitting here coming up with more work for the people that are still trying to hold it together.
no, not coming up with more work, we just need to know what the job description's gonna be. I mean, anything that you're gonna hire people, as Ms. Sills has alluded to quite a bit, is what's the demand of the job? Not even, I understand the pay scale and
We're going to have to reevaluate what our chamber dues are, and that's not something the board's going to do. That's something that the executive director and their team's going to need to do. We're going to need to, personally, with the conversations we've had with, say, our executive committee, we believe that there's easily 300,000 plus in memberships that can be earned in year one. And then obviously go from there, depending on what our membership dues are. We have untapped oil companies that don't even know that we're here.
And I asked during the meetings that we've had previous is, if I'm gonna give you X amount of dollars, what are you gonna do for me? I mean,
Right.
what does the chamber do for a business?
Well, and
You gotta come up, you gotta be creative, because you gotta come up with a lot of new ideas to get these people in.
yes, sir. And those are things that the team that's put together, they're going to have to go out and talk to the current businesses, talk to businesses that aren't there. There's going to be surveys. I mean, this is going to be a 1, 2, 3 year project. I mean, we're not going to get to the size of even Monahan's in 6 months. I mean, it's going to take years to build it up, and it's going to take a lot of fruitful work. I mean, you're talking week in and week out, constantly going out. I mean, there's a lot of no's before you get a yes. But we do believe that the team together collectively should hit about 300,000 in membership dues in year one, which will put us in a position after that to where things can change, right? Then you can have events. But I mean, I'll come back and I'll talk about that livestock show that weekend. We had a carnival, and if we had just had the carnival alone, we would have lost money. I mean, because the carnival didn't bring in what they brought in the year before. So just for us to rent out the facility, we would have lost money on it. So it's not as easy to host events as people think, because you have to be able to put a lot of moving parts together. It's like the fall fair over the last couple years. It hasn't been a historical moneymaker. Do we make money? Yes, but for the man hours you put in, you're not making what you should get in return. And when we have talked to a lot of your bigger organizations that are now not event-based, they have one or two big events a year that bring in revenue to support everything else based on the amount of time that each volunteer is putting into it. That's why we need to identify organizations within the community that can use these funds. A couple $1,000s can go a long ways for a lot of organizations. But whenever you're talking about a chamber or CVB that's trying to operate on $300,000-400,000+ a year, that doesn't do any good when you're putting in 100 man hours to it. But can you find organizations that would love to have that? Of course. And that's what we need to do. We need to go out and bridge those gaps between the organizations we have here and see who else would like to be involved in it and how the chamber can help and the CVB can co-sponsor some of these events and help them be successful and help them prosper and grow, because then you have people that really and truly want to take it to the next level, and they'll have the personnel to do it.
So just your opinion, why do you think the carnival didn't do as well?
Part of it was probably the placing of it. It was a little crowded on that side, but it was just probably the weather. I don't know if there was just...
Usually the carnival does fairly well.
Yes, ma'am.
Before, the chamber's always made a profit.
Yeah, I mean, we made money, but it's only because the livestock show was going on and they made money, right? But if it would have just been, say, the fall fair and what we brought in last year plus the carnival this year, it would have been minimal. I mean, maybe $1,500 to $2,000. And once again, when you talk about all the man hours that go into it, you're talking about a couple dollars an hour. I mean, to have 100+ man hours into something and you're only making $1,500 to $2,000, I mean, it's not very profitable.
Why do you think volunteerism has gone down as much as it's been historically in previous years? I know I've helped out with Golden Girl and different activities, and you typically have a good base of people that want to come out and help. What's changed during the last year or so that has turned people off from helping out?
So I'm just going to speak about my personal beliefs on what's happened with the chamber and CVB. I do believe that we had a split board that was very contentious. I do believe that there was a lot of pushing and fighting going on in there. So I've seen you can see that our membership has gone down. So I think a lot of it has to do with getting rid of some board members who had, personal agendas, personal vendettas, and we lost some volunteers in that, right? I mean, everybody, when you're in organizations like this, everybody has people that help out. So I think that was part of it, and I'm just going to be honest with you, and you can look back at how it's been for the last couple executive directors. There was a lot of fallout for some of them, so I think that was part of it. I think the other part of it is these conversations right now. We've been talking for 3 or 4 months now, trying to get on the same page, and we're still not on the same page. And we keep on saying which comes first, the chicken or the egg. And the chamber keeps on trying to say, look, if we're not going to have funded positions, it's not going to work. And yet, I think the community, they see these things in newspapers, they hear from third-party people, and it just doesn't seem like we're getting along. I mean, and that's the brevity of it. I'm just going to be blunt with you and be honest. I do think that you have a board now that wants things to work. I think we've passed audits. I think Mr. Lino can vouch for that. I mean, he's the financial expert in the room, and we've somehow been able to make it to where these audits are acceptable. Do we have things we need to fix? Yes, and we acknowledge that. We can't fix the past, but we're never going to, we as an organization are never going to continue to grow to get volunteers if it looks like there's all this infighting with everybody. And that's why it was nice to see on Tuesday whenever the county commissioner stepped up and said, hey, we're willing to give this a try. And then, we want to go out to other organizations and we want to go out to other entities and get them involved. That's why we would like to have one member from each entity there, so that they can be a part of it and they can see what's going on. I don't think there's enough positive things being shown about the chamber right now to get chamber volunteerism to go up. That's one of my personal beliefs. The other part is the same thing that you see in any other organization. It's like on any board that I've served on. Anytime they have an event, people just aren't coming out as much. Do they want to go and do things? Yes. But, like families, it's hard. Like me personally, whenever I've got 4 kids and a wife at home, they want to go to the event themselves. They don't want me to wrangle them into volunteering at the event at every one of them. So can we do a couple? For sure, but I mean, can I do all of them? No, and I think that's kind of what we're running into out here is you got a lot of people who just have families and they want to be involved in the event itself and partake in it as opposed to the behind the scenes doing all the manpower, you know? So I think there's a lot of reasons why volunteerism is struggling here. I'm not going to claim to be right on them all.
How many people were at your chamber meeting?
It was just chamber members, yes, ma'am.
No, how many were there?
7.
7.
Yes, ma'am.
And how many board members do you have?
We are down to 9. We just lost one due to reasons. Yes, ma'am.
But you have how many positions?
13. Yes, ma'am.
So you barely had a quorum.
Yes, ma'am. With 9, we have a quorum at 5.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So here you're presenting an amount for salaries.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's going to be no benefits.
That's something we're going to have to discuss on that end. We don't offer benefits right now. We never have. So that's something that, based on our applicants, we're going to have to entertain and see what the chamber can come up with. But we've never historically offered benefits. We've offered packages for them to go out and get their own benefits, but as far as I know, with the last 3 executive directors, they did not receive any benefits through the chamber.
I'm thinking one of them had some insurance, or they received a stipend for insurance.
Correct, yes, ma'am. Now, that is true. I mean, we've given them packages to go out and get their own benefits, but we've never provided it for them through the chamber itself.
So these prices, do that include the packages for them to go out and get insurance? Okay.
No, ma'am.
So how's that going to be funded?
That'll be something the chamber's going to have to entertain.
So you're not going to be coming back for, okay, we can't get this person unless we provide this, this, and this?
My understanding is the city can't provide that. Right. So there's no point in asking for it in the first place. I mean, don't get me wrong. If it was an option, I would be asking for it right now. But we've already had this conversation numerous times, and I've been told no every time.
And is this gonna be an annual request of the county and the city?
The city, yes, sir. The city will, obviously, the CVB side, we want that to be done. I do want, the county, we haven't discussed it yet. I mean, the way it was presented was it was going to be a one-time deal. Our goal, though, is for the CVB to get out and be active. Our neighbors to the south of us get neglected all the time. Balmorhea, right? So, and there's a lot of good attractions out there. I do think the CVB needs to get to work over there. That was going to be our original ask, was to go out there and get some funds to promote Balmorhea, but the Commissioners Court felt that they would rather go out and participate by giving half the funds for the salaries. So, which is more than what we were going to ask for to begin with. To answer your question, I don't know what we're going to do with the county. I don't want to tell you no, and I don't want to tell you yes, because if everything goes good this year and then we go back to the county and they say yes, I mean, that's great, right? And then again, if everything goes good and we don't have to go back to them, even better. So the city, obviously, yes, sir. I mean, the CVB side, it needs to be funded by the CVB, and the CVB needs to do its job. So
CVB being funded, Charles, is it appropriate, is it going to be legally through the hot tax?
It's qualified from the hospital.
It qualifies.
On just the CVB side?
On the
But
CVB
does it need to go
side.
to
Well,
the to the hot tax board?
It is, that is actually dependent upon the council. But from that standpoint, if we look at it, and it's one of the things, and this may or may not present it that way, there's a portion of, in my discussions with Matt, there's a portion of the executive director that's going to be in charge of the CVB or the chamber piece of it that will be overseeing the CVB side of it. So in that case, there's that portion of it, whether it's 8%, 12%, 25%, 40%, qualifies for hot. The way that they're delineating the staff for the CVB 100% qualifies, the executive or the director of that qualifies that way. The way that if council's considering it and wants to look at this is if we're going to use hot money, I would say that any money that we give them 100% of it goes to fund these, because the county says it's going to be 50% of salaries. It didn't say who they have to fund. So if the county wants to fund 100% of the chamber side of it with that dollar, and the city funds the CVB portion of it, it's the same thing. It's gonna, I mean, the dollars are gonna be the same, it's just the allocation piece of it, and it would make it cleaner from the cities. So, I mean, it's still the same 320,000 or $272,000. It's just that it would be from the chamber side, from the bookkeeper side, from CNA, they would have to distribute and say, okay, the city, the hot funds are taking care of all of the X number of dollars on this, and a portion of the executive director piece of it. Everything else is being paid for by the county's influx of cash. So there's ways to do it, and it's not doing creative accounting. It's just being straightforward and saying, I'm going to feel a lot better if 100% of the funds that the city gives out of HOT go toward the CVB portion of it in total. And I mean, when you look at it, the piece that the county gave, they're not as tight as we are. They've done it out of their general fund budget, so it can be reallocated and reappropriated with no problem. So that would be my recommendation. I'd throw it out there to Matt and to the chamber board to say, I think, and I'll go on record saying that I think the chamber's vital. We've all had that conversation. And we need to do something to get it to where it's viable again, because it's not. But I would ask you all to say that you'll fund X dollar amounts, or you know what, send it to the HOT committee. We can have a HOT committee meeting. I know that the chamber's trying to get this taken care of. We can ask for a HOT committee meeting to have be done. We have a tentative meeting for next Thursday. We could have that meeting on Thursday, so it would delay this a week. So that's mayor and council's decision as to whether they want it to go to the HOT committee. If it does, then we can arrange it. I can have Wendy reach out and try to arrange that on Monday or Tuesday for the HOT committee to meet to have this conversation. So I think it should be funded through CVB. It can be done through HOT money, but I would want it to be allocated strictly to the CVB.
I think my thing with it, if HOT is going to do any of this, I think those, which would be on the CVB side, that they need to do some events, that they can be profitable. Other communities, they say, the events is what keeps them going. Do you have to work at them? Yeah. Do you need to go into them with the mindset that you're running this event just like you run your business? If you're not going to make money, no, you shouldn't be doing it. But you need to plan it out and you need to get it executed. I know there's been issues in the past. I think this can be turned around, but I don't think we can just give HOT money away and get nothing back in return.
What is it that you would like in return?
I would like to see events. We need events going on. We don't have a guarantee that anybody else in this community is going to step up and take on this event, this event, this event, or this one. Someone's got to lead it.
Right, and to clarify, we're not saying we're not doing events. We're saying we can't do all of them. We can't go out and have, like 2 or 3 executive directors ago, where they were trying to do all kinds of events nearly every month. I mean, that's what we're getting at, is this can't be an event-oriented chamber CVB. Are we still going to have events? Of course, but it's like I told you earlier, we need to find events that we can bring people in and truly attract people, and it can be a money maker, where it's not just a drain on our locals. We shouldn't be only making money off of our locals when we've got all these tourists out here in West Texas and in our region that need things to do. I mean, I think any one of us in this room would like to go, and we would like to travel and go to another community and enjoy their communities as well. But think of how many events go on just in our region alone that attract us to those communities. There aren't very many. We need to find what can we bring in Pecos, Texas, and what can we make successful that's going to bring in money, but it's going to attract people. And that's what we're trying to get at, is we have to revamp what we're doing. We can't continue doing the same thing. The Easter egg hunt never should have been a chamber event. It turned into it because nobody else wanted to do it. And those are the kind of...
And the chamber raised their hand to take it.
They did, but that was based on our old way, right? I mean, that you're not making any money off that, and we're putting in tons of hours, right? And then we're asking our chamber members once again, hey, we got another event that we need you to fund right? So while it's being paid by CVB funds for the employees that are doing it. See, I mean, it doesn't work cohesively. And it goes against exactly what you're trying to point out, is that they need to operate separately. Your CVB needs to draw in visitors, and your chamber needs to focus on its chamber members. And that's what we're trying to get at. You cannot have all these events going on and expect for those two to operate cohesively but separately. I mean, what you're doing is you're mingling everything, and it hasn't worked for us in the past, and we know that. We need to find events that can be successful here but can still meet the goals of everybody else involved.
So are you thinking of having two boards?
What we're looking at is how we can have two different committees that would all be under one board. So the board would be elected through the chamber still. What we would like to do is get our advertising and tourism committee to actually kind of be resurrected, to be honest with you, because it's been non-existent over the last 4 or 5 years. So what we would like to do is get at least 2 members from the city, 2 members from the county, and then get some of our chamber members, like some of our hotel business owners, just different people throughout the community, and really start working on that. But right now we're looking at 2 separate committees, and that can oversee CVB, that can oversee the chamber, and that way it's not all having to be discussed every month for an hour and a half long at our meetings.
And I guess that's where we keep having some confusion in the meetings, is it's like they need to operate separately, but yet you want them together. And it's like, is it going to be this way, or is it going to be this way?
Right.
I mean, you're going from what has been in the past 3 employees to 5.
Yes, ma'am.
You're wanting more employees, but I kind of feel like you're wanting to do less, giving back to the community.
We'll pick an event that you would like to see continue running.
Okay, well, Night No Pecos is one that's always been out there.
Okay. The number of volunteers is astronomical for that. And we didn't even have enough this year. And if it wasn't for Syra, it wouldn't have happened. How she pulled it off, I have no idea. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. We lost money off of it.
But we've all agreed that 99 Pecos is not going to make money.
Right, but you're, I know, but that goes against what she just said. We should be making money on all of our events, because it's possible, because you look at the other organizations in our surrounding areas, and they are. And that's what I'm trying to point out to you, is it doesn't work the way that everybody thinks it does. Unless you've been involved in it and you've been there, you really don't have any clue. And I'm not trying to bash you. I'm not saying that you're not knowledgeable or that you can't understand it. I'm saying you just haven't been there to see it. Right. So, I mean, it's not happening. I mean, Night No Pecos didn't make money.
So
I mean, it is what it is.
something I want to point out, like the Easter egg hunt, that was great for the community. Not all of these events are going to be huge money makers, but do they increase the quality of life for our citizens and for our locals? They do.
Sure.
A lot of people came together to make those events that are not necessarily money makers. People look forward to them, and I feel that maybe going back to that theme of community events don't have to be super expensive for people to participate in would get more people to come out and help with the events that actually are money makers. I feel that by kind of cutting these events, it's like, that one doesn't make money, let's not do that. That one doesn't make money, which I get as a chamber, like it takes work. I know, I understand, but I feel that continuing that tradition of community, and not all of them are going to be huge money makers, but it's what we need.
Yes, ma'am. No, I completely agree. I'm not saying that the community doesn't need them. I'm saying we need to find places for them to land where they can be long-term events for somebody. And it shouldn't be a burden on taxpayers to constantly to keep all these events. I mean, essentially what kind of sounds like what you're saying is that you're okay with CVB funding those events.
Actually, with the amount of people private citizens that came in and donated candy and eggs and time, I can't say for certain what exactly the loss was from the chamber or whoever put that event together. I don't like that if that's insinuated like it was a drain to the local taxpayers.
No, ma'am. I'm not trying to argue about that.
Yeah, that's not. I think that's part of the misinformation and turning people away from wanting to help out. Is I think the rhetoric like, well, that's not our problem. That's not big enough for us to handle, it's not our job. That's kind of turning people away from helping out.
Yes, ma'am. And I wouldn't disagree with you. I would say what we're here right now to talk about is funding, so that's why the focus of everything is money. Now, are there discussions to be had?
Actions that, with money, like, comes actions.
Right, and there's, are there things we need to do for different events? 100% agree. We're not saying that events don't need to go on. We're saying that the way that we have been, even when we had 3 employees, it wasn't always working that way, because we weren't bringing in any money. I mean, we're to the point now where it's literally keep the doors open or shut it or dissolve it. I mean, that's where it's at. So if you want to have conversations about events and things like that, I welcome it. I think that's what we need to do. But like you brought up the Easter egg hunt. I know Ms. Seals is worried about Golden Girl, and other people are worried about Night in Pecos. I mean, there's all these different events that have been going on. They are needed for our community. Nobody's arguing that. Nobody's saying that they need to disappear and they never need to be brought back. I think it's like, and let's use Night in Pecos for instance. We came before the hot board and we asked to do it and they said no. And then we had city council members questioning, why isn't it going on? And then we told them why, and they said, come back and do it again. So we went back before the hot board and they said, we've already said no, and we said, yeah, well, city council told us to come anyways. So then we made it through them and made it to the city council, and then it passed. So to your point, I mean, I think there's more going on than people realize, and, you know, do I agree with you? Yes. But do I think everybody needs to get on the same page? Yes.
We do, but at the same time, you're wanting us to just say, we're going to give you this money without you giving us anything as to exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And it does maybe a little bit come down to chicken or the egg, horse or the cart, but at the same time, you could come before us and say, we would like to do this, this, and this, and this, if you would give us the funding for it. We have not heard that from y'all. We've asked, what are your benchmarks going to be for these positions? We haven't seen any of it. Are you going to be giving commissions or anything?
Yes, ma'am, and we discussed that at the last meeting. I mean, we discussed commission, right? I think we've discussed it in the last 3 meetings that we've had, and everybody's on board with it. So I don't think that's a fair statement to say that you've asked about commission and we're not giving you anything in return.
Well, I mean, are you even considering it? We don't know what.
Like I said, ma'am, we've discussed commission and we've told you that. I was the one that brought it up. I brought it to you, and you were one of the ones that originally said no. And then after we talked about it and Mr. Lino discussed it, everybody said, yes, that's probably a good idea. That's what the chambers are moving to. So, yes, I mean, we're looking at commission, but the commission's going to come out of the chamber budget. Commission's something that the chamber's going to have to fund. Because, I mean, that doesn't qualify for hot funds. I'm not saying that the county couldn't have funded it but we never presented it to them that way.
So again, I just don't know what the CVB manager is going to do.
They're going to manage the CVB. Now we can set expectations in for them, but I mean,
For almost $80,000, I'd like to really know what they're going to do.
To your point, we haven't posted any positions other than the executive director. We haven't posted any assistant positions. I mean, so are you just worried about the CVB manager, or are you worried about all of them? Because, I mean, the only one that we've posted is the executive director position.
But you have these others listed.
Correct.
So you certainly have thought about them.
We've identified these are needs that we're going to have as an organization.
Okay.
Right.
So if they're needs, what do you want in the person that might fulfill them?
That's going to be up to the executive director.
So you want the executive director hired first?
Yes, ma'am.
And then let the executive director make all these decisions? Is that what the thinking is?
So our belief is that if we can't identify what we're going to need as an organization for our executive director to go out and hire, we're not going to be able to continue coming back every month and say, hey, we want this now, we want this now, we want this now. Because then if we get to the end of the road and it's what the executive director doesn't want, and they leave, then we're back at square one. So what we would like to do right now is ask for everything that we believe we need, and then when we hire the executive director, that person can go out and they can hire the people that they would like to fill those positions. I mean, it's the same way that y'all operate here, right? You can't ask, Mr. Lino can't come and say, hey, I need, 5 people in the, to work in our streets department, and then you want to say, well, I want to know what each one of them's going to do, because he doesn't know yet, because he knows that he's going to need them, but.
I think he's going to know what think they're gonna do.
Well, but, I mean, there's just some things that you can't identify until you know that the budget's going to be approved. And this is essentially what it is. This is a budget for what our salaries are going to be. It's not our job to tell those individuals what they're supposed to do. That's the executive director's job. We're just the board to oversee to make sure that everything gets handled properly. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier, is I do believe now that we do have a strong board, a board that is willing to stand up and do what's right, even if it means getting rid of board members. And we did that last year. We had a board member that was removed from the board because we did not believe that person was fulfilling the duties and obligations set forth. I do think that we're in a position now where we can hire somebody and successfully oversee them, and we can add people on. I know one of your concerns is that we only have X amount of board members. One of our reservations is bringing in more board members that aren't going to support where we're at right now. And on top of it is bringing in board members that are going to support whoever we're going to have. I do think that we need certain support around those that are within the organization already. So we're reserving some of those spots for, obviously, to be reelected next year, but to be appointed.
Are you just appointing them, or are you gonna throw their names in and let?
Some of them.
I don't know at this point how, you don't have anybody there to vote on them, which is what the past has been. You
Right.
know, for new board members, the business membership voted on them.
Correct.
I'm not sure you have enough business membership to vote on them.
Right.
Truthfully.
Our membership is very low.
It is, and it is something we certainly want to see improve,
Right.
absolutely. And I think with the right person in there, I think on the chamber side, things are going to change.
Yes, ma'am.
I just still have an issue, maybe more on the CVB side right now. Maybe that's where, if the county's going to fund half, let them do the chamber side of it, and then let us do the CVB side of it. But we maybe need to reconvene
You know,
next
through
week and
the
get
other
some more
meetings that we
information.
had, I think the first thing that we were talking about is bringing the chamber executive director. That's
And
what
have a
we're
meeting
looking at.
with whoever you're going to choose
Yeah.
on that, and then we might be getting some feedback from that person as to how we feel about how the CVB is going to move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if through hot tax we're gonna do that, the only problem I have with the hot tax is they do a lot of tabling. And I don't like that. If we're coming and then they come, and then you have to come to the to the council again for the same thing. If you're gonna go to the hot tax for something for the CBB, then all you need to do is come to us and yes, and yay or nay for us. They're the hot tax, they're the one that do the groundwork and all that. Us is just saying yes or no to what they propose. So the way I see it, so if the county is willing to step up, and if we're working together, all the entities trying to work together, and through the hot tax we can take care of the CBB side, why not concentrate on the executive director first, the way we've been talking about in the other meeting, and then once that's set up, then he decides, yes, I need an assistant, or no, I don't need him yet, but I will. Because where the majority of the funding is going to come is building the relationship with the businesses out there. And that's going to be priority number one. Now the events, if they're going to come, we need to have those events, because just like Councilman Trujillo said, those are needed in Pecos, because, you know, I hear all this stuff going on in Alpine. Alpine is a little community, but they have all this festival. We can't have them because we still got an issue with people. And what I'm talking about is people, they want to do their little pet projects. We need to get away from pet projects and start working together, just like the entities are working now. The things that are happening in Pecos is because people, the entities are trying to come together and work together to make things happen for the best of the community. It's not about my pet project or anybody's pet project. It's about what's good for Pecos. And if it starts right now with the executive director being the first one that we need to fund, and the county has already stepped up, and if we can, and we're gonna step up because we can do it through the hot tax to take care of the other side, then I think we can handle this. But the problem is, we need to quit overthinking all this stuff, because we already met, this is fourth or fifth meeting that I've been involved with this, and we're still talking about the same thing. And I don't want to hear it anymore. And I don't mean it in a bad way, I'm just gonna, let's do something about it. Quit talking and let's put some work to this. So if we need to hire one, let's hire him, let's get over it.
Hire the executive director and go from there.
I mean, I can take it back to the board and see how they want to proceed. I mean, all I'm here to do is just to say this is what we voted on Tuesday. I'm here to present that this is what we're asking for. I hear what you're saying. I can take it back to them and see if they would like to proceed with just hiring one person or not. It's like we've talked about in our past meetings, and we've had numerous board members there. We're at the end. I mean, we don't have much rope to hold on to. So we either need some support, or we're just not going to be able to stay open. We're going to have to dissolve. I mean, that's where we're at, just at the end. So
Are they CVB or are they chamber?
The person,
That you have in the office, are they CVB or are they chamber?
they're CVB, yes, ma'am.
She's getting paid through hockey.
Right. Yes, sir. That's how we left the last meeting. Congresswoman, Sills asked that they have somebody there, at least for the CVB side, right? So that's why, that's why we have somebody there.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And she's working out okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So see, you already have one, so now we put another one as a director. Now we got some groundwork to start. And then we can say, okay, now I need to extend my hand over here to another assistant or something else. But because you have 4 or 5 positions here, but we don't know how we're gonna be for the next project that's coming or the next event. Because what's the next event?
Yes, sir. If everything goes, if we're still around in January, February, it'll be the chamber banquet. Yes, sir.
So to get that banquet going, because that's about businesses.
Right.
This is where whoever you hire as a chamber director, the director is going to have to start getting those businesses quick.
Right.
Did you discuss with the possible executive director that they're going to have to do the chamber banquet, or is that something that they're going to decide?
We've had conversations, obviously during interview processes, we brought up the different events throughout the year that are held by the chamber. We brought up events, we brought up the fact that there's going to be some events that we need to look at just co-sponsoring. Like I said, the parade that's coming up, those are little events that other organizations would like to have, and that we can help by advertising and doing just little things that they're not able to do. So we've had those conversations during the interviews at a minimum.
Yeah, one of the things that I saw was with the previous chamber directors, they wouldn't go out to the business.
Yes, sir.
Because I went out to the businesses downtown, and one of the particulars came to see what we were doing. I said, we're talking to the businesses, doing your job. So, and I don't mind doing that. I don't mind talking to anybody. Because that's how you build a relationship between the people. And it takes relationships to make things happen in this town.
Yes, sir.
Because if we're going to have, it's time to break the ice, it's time to break the stuff. It's Pecos. I'm a Hispanic person, but Pecos is Pecos. And it's my town.
Yes, sir.
And I want to see it grow the way it's growing, but we need to do things for our citizens that, not just work, but, where they can go off, you go to the museum and enjoy walking around the museum, the yard and all that. We got a beautiful baseball fields that are coming. But if we don't promote it, who knows about it?
That's something we talked about in our interviews, is that we expect the CVB to get involved in all aspects of our community, whether it's promoted by city or county or just any other organizations. If there's an event going on, they need to be involved. They need to be in the know. If there's something that we can do to promote that, then that's our job. That's what they're there to do.
Yeah, and because if you build relationship, let me tell you, people will step up.
Yes, sir.
Because you got a relationship with that individual. I set up a revival once a month for the church, and I've done 3 at the museum, and it's all word of mouth, and we don't get paid, and but people show up, and it may be the same people, but a lot of times there's different people, but the idea, it's something different. People don't want to go to church. or they don't feel comfortable being in church, so we take it out to them. The same way here. People may not know that we're having this event, but we're having an event. But if whoever's running the event has a personality and has built that relationship with people, with businesses, with, so that we got a lot of people here in town. We got a lot of oil men, a lot of people that just come from work and to be in a room where we can offer them a lot of things. And this is where, as a chamber, executive director, and the CBB, offer it out there, build those relationships with those men and those women that are out here that, they don't know nothing on Pecos except on motel room.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't think what's being recognized right now is that one person can't do this.
Right.
And that's why we're asking for what we're asking for.
I definitely agree. You've got to have a chamber assistant in there because that chamber executive director needs to be out there knocking on those doors and talking to those businesses.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What about the billboards on Cedar Street, so people can see them when they drive by?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Big billboards advertising your event on Cedar Street.
The advertising committee would need to.
That'd be great.
Right.
Something that catches their eye.
There's a lot of rebuilding that needs to take place.
And I know it's a hard climb up that ladder.
Right.
And I applaud y'all for sticking with this, I really do. And I know it's been tough. I know I've thrown a lot at you, but at the same time, we need to be assured that we're really moving forward. And I think maybe we need to know who you're considering for that executive director and whether they're really going to step up and do this position. And then I think we can all feel a little bit better in the direction that the chamber's heading.
So you just want us to come public with who our finalist is? Is that what you're asking?
Well, that's up to you.
Well, I want to know what you're asking right now.
I think at some point we need to know, yes.
Yes.
And I don't think it's just council that needs to know. I think this whole community needs to know. Because we do need a chamber.
Sure.
We need one that is absolutely focused on the businesses.
I agree with you.
And, what can we do for them? And I think when they see that we're willing to do something for them, they're going to start stepping up and they will be willing to volunteer at these events. There can even be when this person goes out and says, hey, we really want to join you, have you join the chamber. Second page is, these are our events. How would you like to sponsor? How many volunteers can you send? And then half your work is already done. You already know who some of your sponsors and where they're coming from. I can send you 3 volunteers to help us set up. I can give you 1 to work a 2-hour shift at this booth. I can give you 3 for cleanup, whatever it is. We've got to think out of the box. That something like that hasn't been done.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's kind of capitalizing on their time. Don't just ask them for their business membership, but go ahead and ask them, look, we want your input and we want to give back to you.
And we currently have our membership structure, just like you just explained right there. We've got different dues, different membership levels that are based on different events. So we've been doing something very similar to what you're asking. We need to restructure the way we're doing it because
and it doesn't hurt to ask for those volunteers.
Sure, and there's a lot of organizations that have volunteers for it. We got to get before them,
Right.
and unfortunately, a lot of those businesses aren't housed here in Pecos. A lot of them are housed in Midland, Odessa. So,
Houston or wherever.
right, so it's getting in front of that right person, whether it's through a Zoom meeting or whether it's in person, so that we can have those conversations, and then we can start seeing what those organizations are looking for in our community as well. But once again, it just takes time. You're tying up one person full-time right there. So doing events is not going to be in the preview.
That's where there's the chamber and then there's the CDB.
Right. But that's why we're saying right now is, in order to have these events that y'all are wanting, we're going to have some staff. Because right now you're identifying the fact that we need events and that we need the chamber membership to grow. But as you just pointed out, that's 2 separate. That's not the same thing. So you have 2 separate groups of people working on both of those tasks. And that's why we're here asking for the structure that we have in front of you. Because it's going to take 2 separate groups of people. We can't do one at the same time and expect it to be fruitful and to have any other outcome than what we have right now.
So you will be open to doing events?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, we haven't cut any events out. There's nothing, none of our events have been slashed. We're just trying to find ways to make them where you have more, where we have more opportunities, more organizations that have opportunities to be involved with them. Instead of it just being under one umbrella, bring in more people that can be involved, and then they can learn how it works, and that way they can get involved in other things in the community.
I mean, even doing monthly newsletters and recognizing that monthly newsletter.
Yes,
every
ma'am.
time, who your new members are.
Right.
You know,
And-
if they've done something great, put it in that newsletter.
Yes,
Send
ma'am.
it out monthly. Invite your whole business membership to your meetings, because that's how you get more people to volunteer.
Mm.
If all you're inviting is your board members, you're limiting your possibilities.
And that is one thing that we've talked about is we would like the new executive director to find ways to make that happen. We need to find venues where we can make that happen. We need to find sponsors for everything, and we need to find organizations that would like to raise money to it. I mean, if there's a way that we can find an organization that wants to make money that would provide food for that meeting, they're out there. That's what these individuals need to do. Everything that you're identifying is correct, but everything you're identifying is time. And it takes people, and that's exactly what I'm here asking for, is to give us the people to do these things that y'all are asking for. I think we're saying the same thing. I'm just telling you that right now we need the money to get this done. So that's what I'm asking for, is exactly what you're saying. We need the funds so we can make this happen. Because we hear not just from you, but we hear from our chamber members. We hear from other organizations throughout town. People, the community, I mean, we hear from everybody. So, I mean, I'm sure you do too on everything else. That's why we're here asking for this, is because it's going to take manpower to do this. And I mean, ideally, it would be great if we could grow it, and we could grow into a bigger organization at some point. But we've got a tall task in front of us, and this is not going to be something easy. And even the ones, the individuals that are going to be part of the organization, they're going to need help. That's why we're asking for community support. Which is one reason why we approach the counties, because we want buy-in from everybody. We want people to know that this is something the community wants. This is something that's going to be a threshold of our community moving forward. And the past is the past. We need to find a better way to move forward.
So since the CVB manager is a position we've never had, and plus you're wanting an additional assistant, could it be possible that this maybe start out with 2 assistants to see and let the executive director decide whether a CVB manager is really even needed?
Yeah, I mean, and that's going to be up to the director at that point. We just want to be able to say to when we go to that individual, like I said, we have 2 individuals. When we go to the individual that we would like to select, we want to be able to say, look, this is what we have approved. If we go to that individual and we say, hey, we don't have any other positions approved right now other than we're paying a CVB person to be there to support you, it's really hard to get somebody to buy into that, and it's really hard to find a way where we can continue, and it's going to get tiresome. I mean, it's like Councilman Saldana here just said, we've had these meetings over and over and over again, and at some point, we need to take action, and I agree with you 100%. We need to take action. So that's why we came up with this plan right now. We think this is going to be a minimum level of where we're going to be at for the next year or so, and if we can find a way to minimize it at some point, that would be great. But I highly doubt that. I think it's going to continue to grow. I think if we tap into the businesses that are here and we continue and we start bringing in visitors, I think you're going to see something that could be very, very beneficial to the entire community. It's going to take work and it's going to take people. And so, I mean, we can keep having the conversation, but I hear what you're saying, and everybody's saying the same thing. We agree with you. That's why we're here, is because what you're saying is going to take the manpower that's in front of you to get these things done. So we got to find the right crew to do it. I mean, and we can have all the people in the world, but if we don't have the right people leading it, it's not going to happen.
So you already have someone in mind for the CVB manager?
No, ma'am. We have identified people that we think would be good fits within the chamber CVB, but we haven't outlined anything where we're going to say this is who we're going to go with and this is what we're going to do moving forward. Well, once again, the executive director is going to hire everybody beneath them. I mean, all we can do is hire the executive director and then give them the funds that are needed for them to hire their team. There's probably been a lot of confusion, and I think Mayor Winkle's probably led off with something that there's numerous rumors that are going around, and that's probably why you keep asking a similar question over and over again. There have been 0 offers made. The executive committee and the chamber have made decisions on who they would like to, the order they would like to make offers at, but other than that, that is all that has been discussed. We have set salaries that we think we would like to cap these off at internally, so that on what we think is realistic and what we think it's gonna take to bring somebody here. Do we have people that we would like to see in those positions? Of course, but at the end of the day, if the executive director has a different has different vision, that's completely up to them. So we can't say right now who's going to fill what position. We can just say we know who we would like to offer the executive director to first.
Or they could come back and say, I only need one chamber assistant and one CVB assistant, or they could come back and say, no, I need 10 more people.
Correct. Yes, ma'am. They could.
Go either way.
Right, they could. I can't see how they couldn't at least start with what we're bringing before you right now. I don't see how they couldn't at least get the ball rolling and dig in and make it through the chamber banquet and probably through starting like with your Golden Girl and some of the events, because those are things we should already be planning for. So excuse me, I don't see how with what's in front of us right now, how the executive director couldn't at least get all that rolling, and then if they did need more, they very well could. If they don't even make it to this point, then that's great, right? I mean, and if they're able to be successful, that's even better. But with what's in front of you right now, I don't see how they can't get started and at least have a successful first and second quarter before anything's coming back. Don't get me wrong, they could come in and everything could change after February, March, and we could be before he's saying, hey, look at where we're at and this is what we need now to support us. But I think this right now is a minimum to get us started.
Hesitations and, it's been a lot of scuttlebutt
Yes, sir.
that we've heard, and I think, I guess Councilman Seals is trying to get you to affirm that. I've heard even from the names to the amounts, dollar amounts, to there won't do no events, that's a 2-year term to pass it on to the next guy. And that's what we're hearing all that.
Right.
Where is it coming out?
It's coming from the people that interviewed, because unless you can name somebody that was on the committee that interviewed them, which I highly doubt it.
I just know the names of
Right.
the candidates
It's coming.
supposedly have the job now.
Correct. Yes, sir. It's coming. And what happens is, I start on this end of the room, and we whisper a sentence, and by the time we get over there, it's completely different.
I know that's so.
And that's why I wanted to address Mayor Winkle's original statement, because there have been 0 offers. Have we addressed? Did we talk about numbers and some of that internally, especially during interviews? Yes, sir. But we didn't even decide on this until Tuesday at our noon meeting. So what's before you? In fact, what we went into the meeting with was not similar to this, and this is what we ended the meeting with. And what you don't see on here is commission part, like I mentioned earlier, because that's going to come out of the chamber funds. And we don't know where our commission. We have an idea on where we're going to cap it at. But we don't know because, like I said earlier, it's an untapped market. There's thousands of businesses that don't know that the chamber is here or active, and there's thousands of businesses that we don't even know that are out there that we need to get in touch with. So we really, truly don't know what the commission's going to be capped off at. We have an idea right now, and we've set a bar for it. But without that, it very well could raise. And if it does, great. So we're assuming that bringing in $300,000 year one is very reachable. If there's a recession in January, I don't have any clue, right? Like we can go back and revisit that at that point. But we're assuming right now that, based on the way things are going, that our membership should rise significantly if we have the right staff in there, going out doing what they're supposed to do. But that's just on the chamber side. It's like what I said with the CVB. There's expectations for them to be out and be present. What we've set before right now is that pending approval of this, if this gets approved tonight, we will set meetings on Monday with the individuals or the individual that we would like to hire for the executive director position, and set expectations and make sure that everybody's on the same page with it. And then if this doesn't meet that individual's expectation, or if they can't meet the expectations of the board, we'll move on to the next one. And then obviously, if that doesn't work, we'll go back to the drawing board, and either we'll have to go out and find somebody else. But the basic expectations for the CVB are to get the entire county involved, and there's a lot of events here within our county that go untouched.
Well, both the director of the chamber should be out there, not just delegated, as well as the director of the
Yes, sir.
beating the streets to get new members.
Agree.
And stage new events, look at top companies to see if they're willing to donate for events, but I don't know, we've killed this bird quite a bit of times already. We roasted it and marinated it.
We grilled it, we
burned
roasted
and
it,
brought
we
back to
baked
life.
it, we broiled it.
But to me, it's like, I'm with a little hesitation, yeah.
Still has.
I'm gonna say that I make a motion to approve F8 for the amount of $136,020. And just, if we're back to square one next year for this, I don't know, this is a one-shot deal. You can't make it happen, then there's bigger issues.
Yes, sir.
Can I request something on the CBB side? That money is dispersed only as needed to cover these salaries?
Yes, ma'am. And I think Mr. Lino has the way he's expressed it to us, and I think the way he's talking to everybody else. Well, I don't need to speak for him. Talk the quarterly deal that you mentioned to me.
Or how will the money be dispensed?
Well, my proposal to the chamber and to council was that you all, if you all take action and approve, just as a for instance, let's just say it's $120,000, that it would be doled out in quarters. So that we would fund it, and with that, the chamber would be responsible for coming back on a quarter with some type of report to get the next 25% of it. And it makes it, from my side, being the city manager, it gives me a little more control and comfort with utilizing hot funds that way.
Justifies it.
Yes, it does. And it makes it easier, but it also allows the chamber / CBB to anticipate that they're going to get the funding if they're checking the boxes.
Agree on that. With those stipulations, we did not motion.
And I will second it, but I want to make a comment afterwards.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Nebrona, a second from Councilwoman Seals to approve the funding of $136,200 to the Chamber CDB. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Let the record show the motion carries.
With anyone that comes before us, it is nice to get the information prior to the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
So everything should be an attachment in our packet, so we have time to consider and not have to sit here in front of everyone and consider.
Yes, ma'am. And that'll be the expectation moving forward from the Chamber CVB
I
is.
hope everyone out there hears that. Not just Matt, I hope everyone out there hears that. If you're wanting something, you need to bring us the information ahead of time.
And I just want to make
If
one.
we get a packet this big, why bother giving it to us?
Yes, ma'am.
We can't review it.
And I want to reiterate, we hear what you're saying, we agree with you. There are going to be conversations coming in the future to talk about everything you're talking about. We just need to make sure we can move forward, and we can do that in a orderly fashion. I appreciate y'all's time tonight. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to go into executive session under Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real estate, 551.074, personnel issues, and 551.087, economic development. open session.
And I was gonna do
it is
this to Lauren.
7:57 PM. Are there any items that need to be on the next city council agenda? I have the
E3.
airport fuel report, F2 and F7.
And since he hasn't put himself on the agenda, we haven't gotten the PDC third quarter report yet. We're coming up to finishing the fourth quarter.
I will ask for that too.
And I'd like an update from the chamber on today's meeting, just end of year stuff, future plans.
Okay.
And is Mayor and Council okay with doing this next Thursday, since we have it on our schedule tentatively that way? Very good.
Oh, we're meeting next Thursday?
Yes.
We are now.
That was already preliminary.
It was
turkey
tentative.
dinner.
It was approved at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Anything else for our next meeting?
Update on the landfill, new one?
Okay.
I'd like to discuss possibility of building 2 pickleball courts at the park.
I can talk to Thomas there at the Cyclone, and they're thinking of doing that at the Cyclone.
Can't discuss it yet.
But I don't know. He said they were looking at it because oh, you like playing pickleball.
I used to play a lot of racquetball, this is a little bit slower version of it.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt as bad.
But it can hurt.
Yeah.
But I've seen kids playing there at Crockett's.
Listen,
the
listen,
tennis
listen.
courts of Crockett.
That's a board council.
No, the AARP, the magazine I subscribe to, the injuries for seniors is a lot higher now with pickleball being introduced to this.
So for next meeting, we'll talk all about it.
That's a good one.
Bro, what was the medallion?
Around the 5K.
Anything else for our next meeting?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then we will adjourn, and it is 7:59 PM.